Supporter of the president, and because he's a president who takes action, and as I said before, maybe not 100% of everyone's likings, but he takes care of his people. He is trying to break down the drugs crimes, and of course this is not something you can manage in 4 years. But basically, he's the president who is actually doing something about it, and I think that's very important. And what I hear from a lot of people from the Philippine diaspora, they are very supportive of the president. But of course, you won't hear that in the Western media. So that's always something to realize, that it's mostly negative news what you hear about the Philippines. Economic news is basically positive because it's going up. But I think that the president deserves credit for a lot of good things which happens in the Philippines. I think human rights in the Philippines is basically on a good level. You cannot say there's a dictatorship, there's democracy, there's a good and sound judiciary system with an independent Supreme Court.
The war against illegal drugs is far from over. But before the war resulted in the seizure of illegal drugs worth millions of pesos, today, they run billions in peso value. I can only shudder at the harm that those drugs could have caused had they reached the streets of every province, city, municipality, barangay, and community throughout the country. That is why the illegal drugs war will not be sidelined. Instead, it will be as relentless and chilling, if you will, as on the day it began. These drug dealers know fully well that their business is against the law. They know the consequences of their criminal acts, especially when caught in flagrante delicto, and they violently resist arrest. They know that illegal drugs waste away lives, dysfunctionalize families, and ruin relationships. They know that once hooked, addicts will die slowly, slow deaths, and yet they persist in doing what they do, oblivious to the terrible harm that they cause to the people and communities. And when illegal drugs operations turn nasty and bloody, advocates of human rights lash at and pillory our law enforcers and this administration to no end. Sadly, I have yet to hear, really, howls of protest from the human rights advocates and church leaders against drug lordism, drug dealing, and drug pushing as forceful and vociferous as the ones directed against the alleged errant enforcers in the fight against these social scourge. If you think that I can be dissuaded from continuing this fight because of our demonstrations, your protests, which I find the way misdirected, then you got it all wrong. Your concern is human rights. Mine is human lives. The lives of our youth are being wasted and families are destroyed, and all because of the chemical called shabu, cocaine, cannabis, and heroin. Human rights, to me, means giving Filipinos, especially those at the society's fringes, a decent and dignified future to the social and physical infrastructures necessary to better their lives